Hi, movie explainer here. Imagine you just turned 18 and your dad tells you that the men in their family, including you, can time travel. Now, what's your reaction? Shock, disbelief, or an eye roll? Well, our movie's hero faces the same scene. Stick with us to uncover if it's just a dad's quirky prank or if time travel is the new family superpower. Trust me, you won't want to miss a beat of this heartwarming roller coaster. So without wasting any time, let's just begin our recap. The movie kicks off with Tim Lake, a young lad yearning to mingle but stuck in the solo lane due to his shyness and confidence struggles. Nestled in Cornwall, he's spending his vacation like a perpetual kid, playing tennis with his dad, James, and igniting daily sibling fuss with his sister, Kit Kat. The family throws a New Year's Eve bash, and Tim's got his fingers crossed that tonight might be the night he finally finds someone to share the evening with just like his sister. In the midst of the party vibe, Tim spots a single neighbor girl, thinking she might be the one. With hopeful steps, he heads towards her, only to be sidetracked by his friend Jay, causing a table catastrophe. First impressions? Definitely not his strong suit. While Tim's still recovering from the awkwardness, Kit Kat works her magic and befriends a guy named Jimmy. After a confidence boost from his sister, Tim finally musters the courage to ask the girl, Polly, for a dance. Tim's on cloud nine as Polly leans in for a kiss at the end of the dance. But alas, shyness and low confidence hijack the moment, and Tim awkwardly opts for a handshake, leaving Polly a bit frustrated. But wait, here comes the twist. The next day, Tim's father informs him that he has the superpower to travel back in time. James informs Tim that it's in their blood that every man in their family can go back in time to improve mistakes. As supposed, Tim doesn't believe in his dad. James encourages him to try it himself and says that this can only happen if he enters a dark place like a closet or something like that and thinks of that time when he wants to go back. A bit hesitant, Tim wastes no time, enters the closet, and starts thinking about the last night mishap. A few seconds later, he opens the closet door, thinking his dad just pranked him, and guess what? He pops out wearing yesterday's clothes. Armed with this newfound ability, Tim heads back to the party, deftly avoiding the table disaster and confidently kissing Polly after the dance. It finally sinks in Tim's got a unique skill in his arsenal. He returns to the present, hears more about James' time-traveling experiences, and gets a fatherly lecture. James cautions Tim against using the power for something that is morally wrong. Tim assures his dad that he will never use this ability for anything wrong, but to correct his mistake and find himself the love of his life. A few weeks roll by and Charlotte, a sizzling friend of Kit Kat, and for the record, the wife of Jordan Belfort aka Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street, comes to stay. One sunny day, while the girls are soaking up the sun, Charlotte throws Tim a curveball and asks him to put sunscreen on her back. Seizing what he thinks is a golden opportunity, Tim goes for it, but oops, ends up spilling the sunscreen all over her. Humiliated and likely regretting every decision he's ever made, Tim decides to use his time-traveling magic to redo the scene. This time, he takes extra precautions. Throughout the summer, Tim goes all out trying to impress Charlotte, but every attempt falls flat. Until that is, the very last day of her stay. With time running out, Tim spills his heart out to Charlotte, confessing his love. However, she just makes fun of him. It turns out Kit Kat had warned Charlotte about Tim's potential proposal, painting him as a bit of a jerk looking for what he calls the true love of his life. Feeling a bit like a character in a Shakespearean tragedy, Tim decides to rewind time and propose to Charlotte before Kit Kat can tell her anything. But surprise, she wants to wait until the very last day to see if there's any spark between them. Tim realizes he never stood a chance with Charlotte. She's just not interested, no matter how many times he tries to tweak the script. The lesson here is, sometimes you can't rewrite the script of the heart. So after the summer sun bids Cornwall adieu, our guy Tim takes a leap to the big city lights London, baby. He's not alone though. He's got an apartment buddy, Harry, who's all about strutting his stuff on the stage, acting and whatnot. Tim, on the other hand, has dreams of becoming a law whiz. It sounds like a sitcom setup, right? Now, in the concrete jungle, Tim's on the prowl for a soulmate. But let's just say his luck in love is more Mia than Waldo's on vacation. In an attempt to change that, he and his wingman Jay decide to hit up a posh restaurant. Lo and behold, there are two girls there, apparently on the same partner hunting mission. Dinner goes well, and finally Tim scores Mary's digits. But wait for it. That night, when Tim returns home to share his happiness with Harry, he comes to know that he is very frustrated because his play got ruined due to an actor forgetting the lines. Tim, with his trusty time travel trick, decides to play the superhero friend. He hops back in time and makes that actor rehearse his lines, and voila, the play is back on track. But of course, life's not a smooth ride. Another actor pulls a brain freeze on stage. No biggie for Tim. He jumps back again, this time assisting from the shadows. The play ends with roaring success. Cue applause. Later, when Tim tries to reconnect with Mary, he is unable to find her number. He realizes that, due to his Harry rescuing escapades, that dinner never happened. The next morning, Harry struts in like he's got the key to the universe, a newspaper featuring the triumph of Harry's play. But wait, amidst the headlines, Tim's radar picks up on an ad for an upcoming art exhibition in the city. Suddenly, Mary's love for art exhibitions echoes in Tim's memory, and he's off like a man on a mission, sprinting towards the exhibition grounds. And then she appears. Mary enters the scene, and Tim, a bundle of nerves, takes a deep breath and makes his move. After a tad bit of conversation, the bombshell drops. Mary's got a boyfriend named Rupert. Unfazed, Tim turns into Sherlock Holmes, extracting the who, what, when, and where of Mary's rendezvous with Rupert. Armed with this intelligence, he bolts to the bathroom, ready for a time-traveling escapade to rewrite the history of Mary and Rupert. Zap! Tim lands at the party and swoops in like a time-bending hero, convincing Mary to bail before Rupert enters the stage. Dinner date? Absolutely. Getting to know each other? You betcha. And guess what? Sparks fly, and they realize they're the peanut butter to each other's jelly. Fast forward, and they've upgraded from date nights to cozy nights under the same roof. Enter Mary's parents for the grand introduction. Initially, Tim flubs his lines in the impress the parents' department, but a timely intervention with a bit of time travel magic turns the tide, and suddenly he's the charmer of the century. A couple of weeks later, Tim and his buddy Rory make an exit from the theater after a play, and bam! Charlotte materializes out of thin air. Instead of the usual happy-chappy banter, she dives into the memory pool, recalling the commotion Tim caused during her stay at their place. Tim, sensing a mission to salvage the situation, hops into his time-traveling DeLorean, hoping for a more decent chat. However, it doesn't go as planned. Undeterred, Tim makes another leap into the past, aiming to dodge the area like a ninja. But this time, Charlotte approaches him and sparks a conversation. However, she skips the awkward stories this time and jumps straight to the invitation game, inviting Tim to dinner. Later, she invites Tim to her apartment, but he channels his inner gentleman, declining the offer, just as she did back in the summer. Later on, Tim can hardly contain his excitement as he rushes back to Mary and drops the big question: will she marry him? Mary, overjoyed, gladly accepts the proposal. Tim, riding high on cloud 9, decides to take Mary to his home to meet the folks. Kit Kat is there too, soaking up the vacation vibes. In a plot twist, she spills the beans about her breakup with Jimmy, revealing he cheated on her months ago. Kit Kat, ever the supportive sister, admires Tim for scoring a beautiful and charming girl, exactly what he deserves. Later that day, Tim goes for the big reveal. He announces his upcoming marriage to Mary, scheduled for next week, and throws in the extra surprise that Mary is already pregnant. The family, especially the dad, bursts with happiness. Finally, Tim has found someone, and the anticipation for the wedding is through the roof. The big day arrives, and the wedding ceremony is a joyful affair, filled with laughter and good times. But alas, a storm decides to crash the party, putting a bit of a damper on the celebration. Even so, the love between Tim and Mary shines through, proving that a little rain can't wash away the warmth of their special day. A few moons after tying the knot, Mary and Tim become proud parents to little Posy. Fast forward, and it's Posy's inaugural birthday bash. The whole gang, including Mary and Tim's folks, Harry and Rory, gathers for the celebration. There's just one missing link: Kit Kat. But hold on, the tranquility is shattered as Jimmy storms in with some earth-shattering news. He spills the beans that Kit Kat, after a heated tiff with him, took a wild ride behind the wheel, ending in a dramatic car crash. Tim, wearing his superhero cape, decides it's time for a time-traveling rescue mission. No more risking Kit Kat's life on a tipsy drive. After a heart-to-heart with Mary, reality dawns on Tim. What if Kit Kat's rollercoaster of bad decisions continues? In a bold move, Tim spills the beans about his hidden time travel talents with Kit Kat. Together, they dive back into the New Year's Eve bash, where Kit Kat, armed with righteous fury, gives Jimmy a hard punch, causing their relationship to end before it can even start. Back in the present, Kit Kat, grateful for Tim's intervention, not only patches things up with her brother, but also strikes up an unexpected friendship with Jay. But hold up. When Tim joyfully strolls back home, he gets hit with a curveball. Posy, his daughter, never came into existence, and he's got a son instead. He jets back to the day his son was born to have a heart-to-heart with his pops, James. James lays down the rules. No tweaking stuff before your kids are born, or you mess up their whole existence. Tim realizes he can't rewrite history to save Kit Kat, but he can ensure Posey's existence. Fast forward to Kit Kat in the hospital. Tim and Mary play the loyal pals until Kit Kat realizes it's time to take charge of her own life. Tim suggests she give Jay a shot because, he's the Kit Kat approved guy. Cut to 2 years later, and Tim's rocking the dad life with 2 adorable kiddos. Everything's peaky until he gets a call from his mum dropping the bomb that his dad's battling cancer. Rushing to the scene with the family, Tim's all set to time travel and heal his dad. But James, the wise old time traveler, shuts it down. He's had his fair share of temporal escapades and values the time he's got left. As James imparts some fatherly wisdom to Tim, he stresses the importance of facing life's challenges head-on. No shortcuts, buddy, but here's the kicker. Tim can still relive those golden moments like the birth of his first child or that magical first meet-up with Mary. Time may be tricky, but at least there's a chance to savor the good stuff over and over again. Life, eh? So after James bids farewell, Tim finds solace in the fact that he can still hop back to the good old days whenever he misses his old man. Fast forward a bit, and Mary drops the bomb that she's craving another kid. Tim's a bit hesitant, knowing it means putting the brakes on those nostalgic time travel sessions with his pops. But he decides to roll with it and embrace the whole normal life thing, just like James wanted. As Mary gears up for baby number 3, Tim takes one last trip to the past to break the news to his dad. Together, they relive a sweet childhood memory, making sure not to mess with the space-time continuum. Back in the present, Mary pops out a baby girl, and Tim finally comes to terms with the loss of his father. Life goes on as usual, with Tim soaking in every moment. Kit Kat's on the upswing too, popping out a little one with Jay. The movie wraps up with Tim unveiling the secret source to his happiness. No more time travel and living every moment. That's a wrap, folks. I hope you enjoyed the recap. If you did, smash that like button. And if you're not part of the VIP squad yet, what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe now, because at the Movie Explainer, our subscribers aren't just viewers. They're the VIPs of our recap world.